Hey there, welcome to another episode of Muzikxpress. My name is Twan, and in this week's episode you will see the interview that I did with M.I.K.E, a.k.a. Push, about his classic Universal Nation, the upcoming Push album and more. Enjoy! M.I.K.E, a.k.a. Push, was born on February 20, 1973 in the city of Antwerp in Belgium as Dirk Dierks. Around the age of 11 he discovered the potential of samplers and keyboards. This started his interest in electronic music. When he was 14 he got his very first synthesizer, which was a gift from his late brother. When M.I.K.E was 18 years old he made a demo tape which he handed over to USA Import, a record company based in Antwerp. Not long after that his first record came out in 1992, a new sign under the alias Vision Act. Some years later, after a bunch of other releases, M.I.K.E signed to Bonzai Records. In the year 1998 he released a track under his alias Push, which he decided to call Universal Nation. Fun fact, the track was actually meant to be a B-side of his track Prisma. For Universal Nation, M.I.K.E used a small vocal sample from the 1984 sci-fi movie The Last Starfighter.
All communication and radar systems are out, Wing Commander. Proceed with the visual attack formation.
Universal Nation became a huge anthem, and it's still one of the most famous trance classics ever. And now, 20 years later, it is still being played often by various DJs. During the years, the track got remixed by names such as Ferry Korsten, Dumonde, Oliver Leap, Talla 2XLC, Guy Barone, and many others. After Universal Nation, M.I.K.E released some more tracks under his Push alias, such as Strange World, The Legacy, Till We Meet Again, Transy State of Mind, and some others. This year it is the 20th anniversary of Universal Nation, and soon the Push album, Together We Rule the World, will be out. So a good reason to meet up with M.I.K.E to find out more about this. My first question to M.I.K.E was what he did recall from the production process of Universal Nation.
Well, I remember when I made Universal Nation, it was on a Wednesday afternoon, just going in the studio like any other day. When I go in the studio, I never really think of, I want to go to a certain direction, making trance or techno. I just go in the studio and what happens, happens. And it appears to be a nice Wednesday afternoon working on an actual B-side of a project. And when it was finished, I walked up to the office at Bonzai to fly, and they already had the A-side for the track. It was called Prisma. So I said, hey, here is the B-side of the track. And they start playing it, and they all looked to each other and they were like, what the hell, this track? And he called me back up, Fly from Bonzai, and he said to me like, listen, this is so huge, we gotta make a separate project out of it. You wanna call it a new project, a title, any title? I was like, not really. So I was like, all right, let's call it Push and title. And I was thinking, yeah, in a couple of weeks we're going to Berlin to the Love Parade. We're all coming together, we dance, Universal. Okay, so it was like Push, Universal Nation. Literally, that's how it went.
But when the track came out, it was also known as The Real Anthem, which was also printed as the title on the cover of the first release. What was the reason for that?
I know at the beginning it sounded a little bit confusing for some people because when I was told it would become such a big track, I was like, let's call the EP The Real Anthem. And then the actual track was called Universal Nation and the B-side Prisma. So the confusing part was that the EP was called The Real Anthem and the tracks basically Universal Nation and Prisma. So it started living its own life, I guess, and people start calling it The Real Anthem because it became so big, while it actually was just called Universal Nation.
Were there any other tracks that inspired you while making Universal Nation?
No, not at all. Like I said, when I go in the studio, basically it's a switch in my head and I just start producing something and I have no idea where we head at. We just go with the flow.
Do you remember how long it took you to make the track?
Yeah, it was like, I think if I think about it now, a Wednesday afternoon, maybe 4 hours, because usually in the days, we had a really pretty cool life, coming in the office at 1 o'clock, hanging out, have a coffee, and then go to work, in my situation, going to the studio and start producing, and at 6 o'clock we go home, and basically, yeah, like a 1 to 6 job thing, 4 hours.
Not bad. Which equipment did you use for Universal Nation? Do you still have any of this equipment in your studio in New York?
Yes, I produced it with hardware because the track was made in 1998, so that was still the era where you used a lot of the hardware. And sequencing was very in the early stages with a PC back then. So I used already Logic back then, 2.0, 3.0, and the Roland GP8000 just came out. I know Ferry had it at the same time when he made System F. And basically that's what I used to produce Universal Nation. I took one sound out for the bass and one sound for the lead, because you could split up the sound of the synth at a time. And GP8000 saved my life.
Was it also your first release on Bonzai Music?
No, it was not. I mean, when I came to Bonzai, I think 1995, I first started producing for other guys. Back then it wasn't called ghost producing, but it was co-producing, I will call it. So I produced with a couple guys like Yves de Ruyter, Marco Bailey, Tom de Klerk, under the project Spiral. So, you know, it was just like co-ops we were doing with artists. Back in the days, I think we just thought about just making great music and not really think about, you know, the outcome. We just made music.
Universal Nation is still a popular track, now 20 years after its release. For example, Charlotte de Witte is playing the track often, also at big festivals such as Rockwerchter and Tomorrowland. One of her videos of playing it got pretty viral in the trance scene. Did you ever got to talk to her about it in person?
Yes, I did. I mean, on Twitter, basically, we started talking about it, and I said to Charlotte how cool it was. And then she instantly responded to me saying like it's one of her favorite festival tracks. And even though she's a techno DJ, she said that, you know, she loves the track to death. So that's so cool. You know, it's all about being open-minded as well. And the funny thing is that past Tomorrowland, when I was in the media village, Tiësto arrived. He walked up straight to me, and we started just talking about, hey, how's life, how's things. And then he was asking me like, hey, did you see the thing that Charlotte de Witte did on inner sets with Universal Nation? So even Tiësto noticed it, or somewhere came across that he saw that the techno guys start playing like some trance in their sets, particularly Universal Nation. So yeah, Taz even told me, he said, how cool is that? I said, yeah, right. So yeah, Charlotte de Witte giving that exposure, I think it was massive.
Speaking of Tiësto, you were supposed to do a track with him. Whatever happened to that?
Blame Taz. No, he's such a sweet guy, Taz, but I guess, you know, it's just, he's too busy with his projects. He also lives in New York, partially, because he told me when we spoke at Tomorrowland. But I mean, never say never. I mean, it's just, it has to do with schedules, busy residencies and all that stuff. So, but it's more him to blame than me, but I can fully understand. I mean, he's so busy. But again, never say never.
So are there any plans to do something special around the 20th anniversary of Universal Nation? Maybe a re-release with new remixes?
Not really. I mean, throughout the years, there was already some remixes coming and going. And sometimes when a track is good, leave as is, I say. But sometimes, you know, we've been sent really good reworks of Universal Nation. So once in a while, we consider to re-release it under certain conditions. I'm not planning to do anything special. I would say in honor of Universal Nation, it was time for a new album, and that's coming out.
That's indeed one of my next questions. The brand new Push album, Together We Rule the World, will come out soon. What can people expect on this album?
Well, the first single was released June 22nd, the title track, Together We Rule the World. And it was a little bit of an introduction of what was then and now, because I still try to, you know, grab parts of the sound which was then, but you also have to go along with the technology and sometimes, you know, the sound which they embrace now. So it is trance, back to basics, but with the right touch of what is now.
Is there a special meaning behind the album title?
No, not really. I mean, maybe yes or no. I mean, when I wrote the album, obviously when I worked on the title song, I also thought the lyrics were great of the song, which the lyrical video you can find on my YouTube channel. and also a little bit about you know, a lot of things that's going on in the world lately, a lot of suffering, wars, things like in Syria and everything. And sometimes I have the feeling we let things slip out of our hands. And I think sometimes as one unity, you know, as one, we should take control again, I think. It's not a political statement, but I think it's also, I'm a family man. I have 2 children myself. So I also look what's going on in the world. So I think with trance and with my music, I want to also, you know, reach out the message like, you know, don't give things out of hand. Let's, you know, still control it together.
So the last Push album was Global Age, which came out in 2009. How come it took you almost 10 years to come with a new Push album?
Because sometimes you need to find the right time and the right moments when you start writing something, whether it's a book or music or an adaptation for a movie. You know, sometimes things has to be at the right time. And maybe, you know, I didn't feel anything the past years that the time was there to, I'm not saying reviving, but, you know, to go back to the sound that I was known for. So, you know, that's why also I was working a lot on M.I.K.E push tracks, which is not that different in Push. I mean, I would say the difference is more in M.I.K.E Push as DJing, Push as a live act. But still, the music is still very, very, very close. So even Push is still very emotional.
Are there plans for an album tour?
Yes, my agency is working hard already for next year's festivals. There's already some big stuff going on. But for the rest, you know, people can catch up on my socials to see what's going on the next months.
You did perform live as Push at Tomorrowland this year. How did that go?
That was amazing. I mean, this year we changed it completely. Usually when I go on a Push live, I go like with controllers and use more technology than choosing the musical route. But this year we did it the other way around. I had a live drummer with me, which is M.I.K.E. He's known for Netsky, M.I.K.E, and other big Belgian dance acts. And we thought let's bring more the musical parts out of going live instead of using technology. So it was great to have M.I.K.E on board doing live drumming on every song and me literally playing every single note almost on top of, you know, the songs, or even we stripped some songs, the sounds, and literally I was playing everything live. A really hard thing to do though. It was very challenging, but yeah, I loved it.
Are there more plans for other live shows as Push?
Yes, we have already 3 shows that are nearly confirmed, and next summer, then I'm looking back in 2019 already, I think there is a lot of Push stuff going on.
Besides Push, you are also behind a lot of other projects, such as Plastic Boy, Solar Factor, Active Site, Absolute, and of course your M.I.K.E project. If I check Discogs, I see at least 50 or 60 different project names. Why so many? Is there a reason for this?
Back then I just made so much music because I think, you know, it's so much fun, and it's, you know, when you create something, you know, and you can share it with the world, I think it's the most beautiful thing to do. And I just love making music. But the thing is, back in the day, you couldn't release a track under the same alias every week, but I could make 10 tracks in a week. So basically every time I had to come up with a different alias. And at the time I was thinking of Push, M.I.K.E or Plastic Boy. It's not only the music, but also trying to give it an identity. So you can build on it and make, you know, follow-ups. So it was very, very fun to do, to give, like, it's almost like a character, creating a character for your alias, but then with trance. So close yet different.
And can we expect a new Plastic Boy, a new Solar Factor, or will you focus on the M.I.K.E Push project now?
I might maybe share some exclusive here, but there is something cooking with my older aliases, but I cannot really tell what's going on. Something is going on with my back catalog. That's all you need to know.
What was the reason you did combine your M.I.K.E alias and your Push alias to M.I.K.E Push?
That was actually an idea when I signed back with David Lewis, when Armin and Michael and David Lewis formed DLP. And back then, like you said, there was M.I.K.E as DJ, Push as live. And I think it was David Lewis that came up back then with just combine the name and, you know, just explore the world under one alias and go by that. And since then I just took on M.I.K.E Push.
And also in the year 2000 you officially changed your name from Dirk to M.I.K.E. Why was that, if I may ask?
I changed my name because I always felt like I am M.I.K.E. and it's my artist name, and people call me M.I.K.E. in my private or in my professional relationships I have with people. And even when your family starts to call you your artist name, I said to myself, let's just change my name. And literally that was it. There's no real reason. I just wanted to be one with the artist I am, and I did it.
If you could pick one person who you could collab with, a producer or a singer or a songwriter, who would it be and why?
There are many, but there is still unfinished business I have with, for instance, Ferry Corsten. I love Ferry to death. He's such a sweet guy, a family man, and his sound is really close to what I'm trying to do. You know, we're both very emotional when we write music. We actually started something. We just have to finish it the next months or coming years. But there is a lot of talent out there that I would say, you know, I can work with. It's just always about the right time and the right moment. So yeah, there's still a lot of challenges coming up.
What can we expect from you in the near future?
I keep focusing on push and M.I.K.E. push, obviously. Like I said earlier, there's something with my older aliases that will work out soon, but I can't give too much details. But I'm happy to be back with push as well, because it's at the end it's my baby, and you know, the album might be just the beginning now of a lot of other things to come.
Thank you very much for your time, and good luck with the album release and everything else.
Thank you, Tuan, for having me. Great blog.
Alright, that was it, this week's vlog, my interview with M.I.K.E. aka Push. M.I.K.E, thank you very much for your time, much appreciated. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you did, make sure to give this video a like, leave a comment in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe. Once again, thank you for watching, and until next time, bye bye.